Hello and welcome everyone to our 36th session of Hello Casa. My name is Michael and today I'll be talking to David Hill from Westborough in Massachusetts. David is a real estate expert, not only in that region but also in general. He has written a book about selling, how to sell real estate, and also how to sell, how to be a sales professional and a very successful sales person in general. Is also running his own podcast, and I'm super pumped to have him here today on the show. David, welcome to the show. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience, to the ones who
Yeah,
don't know you yet?
yeah, which is probably a lot of them. Well, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you reaching out. And yeah, I think I've been selling real estate for coming up on 17 years now. I've always been with Keller Williams. I started with Keller Williams. I built a team. We ended up in doing about 25 million. We did that for a bunch of years. We were closing 90 to 125 transactions, or I'm sorry, 90 to 112 transactions for a bunch of years. Made it up to just over 25 million in volume. Then I went into leadership, and I was in Gary Keller's mastermind for a while. I'm a trainer for Keller Williams Realty. So yeah, I've been around the company, been around real estate. It's been a huge blessing for me and my family. It's opened up a lot of doors and a lot of opportunities. And now, honestly, I just run. I shouldn't say just. I run a bunch of Keller Williams offices out in Connecticut.
Uh-huh.
However, I'm actually in the process now of, to be honest, I miss selling, and I'm going to be stepping out of this role and going back and starting, getting back into teaching and training and rebuilding my real estate team and even doing some commercial. My mind recently has been opened to the opportunities with commercial real estate, and it's like, wow. So anyway, there's a minute and a half. That's my life, brother.
Perfect. That's not. I hope that's not all of it. That's not all of
Oh,
it. For
well,
sure
yeah,
not.
true. I have three amazing daughters. I have a 28-year-old daughter who's absolutely amazing, Jacqueline. I have a 6-year-old, Samara, and I have a 2-year-old, believe it or not. So I've got a big
Awesome.
gap, and Penelope and Samara, and I've got a beautiful wife. And yeah, man, it's life's been a blessing.
Amazing. You just mentioned commercial real estate and interested about it. I recently had one person very interesting from Plano in Dallas, Texas, on a show about commercial real estate, and she ran some figures, some numbers. And I was super impressed about the opportunity over there, like how much you can leverage and how accessible that is. Like it's not like out of reach for also private investors. Do you have the same mindset about it, or what is your approach towards commercial real estate?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I don't have a lot of experience with commercial. What I did in the past when we were selling is if somebody came to me with commercial, anything over, 5 units, I would just refer it out to the commercial guy in the office. And it's funny because I remember giving so much to the commercial guy that was in our old office, and hardly anything ever panned out, and
Hmm.
some of these were really, really big deals, and most of it didn't pan out. Recently, I brought in a guy into my office here in Connecticut, and we started a commercial team. And I'm watching this guy, and I'm watching the transactions he's bringing in, like 2.5 million.
Hmm.
And then I just get talking to him, and he's telling me about how it works, and he's talking about, doing 10, $20 million projects. And I'm like, you know what? I want part of that.
Hmm.
If I'm going to go back into selling again, why not sell a $5 million property? Why should I go, call a for sale by owner and list a $200,000
Yeah,
house? I'd rather call the owner of a 100-unit apartment building, and it just makes a lot more sense to me. So
absolutely.
this is kind of my introduction now
Hmm.
to commercial, and this guy's name's Philip Richardson. He's brilliant. He's
Hmm.
super 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 smart guy, and we're just glad he partnered with us over here at Keller Williams.
Awesome. I mean, larger ticket size, same amount of work to be done. So why not going for commercial? Makes total sense.
Yeah, probably. I'm
Um,
guessing there's a little bit more, quite a bit more work
yeah,
to be done, but
you have
still,
more
yeah,
stakeholders, more due diligence to be done, most probably, and then but still,
yeah,
uptake
just makes
is
sense.
yeah. Uh, for the ones because we are having especially like a global audience, so not really maybe acquainted with Westborough, Massachusetts. Uh, Give us some 3 to 5 reasons why to invest in Westborough. What does it make it for a potential investor, also maybe overseas investor, attractive to invest?
Oh, Westboro is just a really hot market, really good school system. They have Dell recently opened not too far from Westboro out in Hopkinton, which is 2 towns over. So a lot of people commute. It's also in between Worcester and Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not in Worcester, so you have a better school system and things like that. But you're also not in Boston, so you're not paying Boston prices. So you're
Mm-hmm.
about 30 minutes from Boston. Just a really, really nice town, good infrastructure. Yeah, it's a great, great place to live, and it's honestly, it's a lot of newer construction. There's great condominiums. It's a really good quality, place to live. Yeah, and the shop. I mean, whatever you do, just shopping. There's all the stores you need. There's Wegmans.
Yeah.
There's actually not a Whole Foods, but yeah, I mean, everything you need is there, man. I
Yeah.
mean, I love it. You got a
Yeah.
YMCA for working out. You got all the different gyms. It's
Yeah.
just everything. Yeah, it's a great,
I
great
mean,
town.
30 minutes commuting to Boston, and I guess like the price difference is quite remarkable for let's say a small household
Sure.
working maybe in Boston, making a huge difference living either in Westboro or in Boston, I assume, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna buy a condo in Westboro, I mean, you're still talking, 450, 500,000 for a small, a 1,400 square foot condo. But if you
Mm-hmm.
try to buy that in Boston, that's 2 million. So I mean, it's a different market. But just so your listeners know, like I said, I have been out of the sales side of
Mm-hmm.
this for the last year and a half, and I've been in leadership. We launched a couple Keller Williams offices. I've been recruiting, but now I'm going back into the sales,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I am launching my business back in Westboro. So I'm excited about that.
So tell us a little bit about your recent past concerning the leadership. What do you think? Because you're the expert in selling and also in real estate and generally. What are more or less like your what's your methodology, and also what's the secret sauce you're sharing with the audience you are having, like both podcast wise and also the readership wise, and get us a little bit through your approach in general.
I'm not 100% clear on the question. I apologize. Is approach to what? What are you
Your
referring to?
your entire, let's say, audience and your message
Uh-huh.
coming through the podcast, but also
Okay.
through your leadership courses and the books. I don't know if this
Got it.
clears up the question.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been selling. I have a book called The Sales Playbook, and you can go to the site is thesalesplaybook.net, or you can go to my website davidihill.com, and everything's there. But I mean, I've been in sales capacity. I mean, at 16 years old or 16 and a half, I was in a shop calling and setting up appointments for people to go and get a demo for Kirby vacuum cleaners. I don't know if anybody
Mm-hmm.
remembers those vacuum cleaners. They're still around. They were
Mm-hmm.
like $1,500 back then. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably a lot more now. And then I went to work for a call center for Chase Bank.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a call center. I ended up working for a magazine, and all I did was prospect on the phones. I built up a pretty large clientele. I mean, I had Verizon, AT&T as clients, Sherwin-Williams Paints, all these big corporations. I would cold call. So I've been doing this my whole life. And then when I got my real estate license, believe it or not, I joined a team. And coincidentally, the owner of the team had said, "Do you want to learn how to make money right away?" I said, "Of course I do. That's why I came to real estate." He said, "Great." So he taught me how to call for sale by owners. So literally, first day in real estate, I was calling for sale by owners. And back then, I was looking at the newspaper ads. We didn't have the good systems in place like we do now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd go through to all the newspaper real estate sections. I'd highlight the ads, and then I'd call. And I just kept calling and calling and calling. And originally, I took 7 listings from for sale by owners my first
Wow.
month in the real estate business. And then a few years in, I got interested in somebody, educating me on expired sellers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I started calling expireds. I had a lot of success prospecting. So that's essentially what I teach, Mike. It's prospecting. It's, different strategies and systems and having a follow-up system and scripts and what to say and call reluctance. I mean, if you go to my book, a big part of my book is helping people to overcome their own their own things, that little voice in your head that tells you not to make the call, or they don't want to talk to you, or they're not home, or whatever it is. Helping people overcome that. That's what I love doing, man. Helping people to be successful. And I brought in some of the top agents in our market in Worcester. The number 1 and 2 agents are both agents that started on my team that I brought into the business, and then they just outgrew and are just absolute rock stars. And that makes me feel great.
Awesome. Cold calling. It's right now. It's something which a lot of people say. Okay, you have digital marketing, you qualify the leads, you have the sales funnel, and then the last
Sure.
mile, the last 5% is only the one you call. You call because otherwise you're just burning money. You're burning your time. It's just unqualified. What's your approach to it like nowadays? Do you still consider it as a valid approach, or do you say yes, you have your systems in place, and then you're applying the cold calling or the calling mechanisms afterwards?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Honestly, I mean, obviously, times have changed. Nowadays, with millennials, they get upset if you call, right? So, it's a combination. So when I say cold calling, I talk about sales call reluctance, which is all different forms. Call reluctance could be sending a text, could be sending an email, could be knocking on someone's door, obviously picking up the phone. My approach is a combination of all those things. Although I am, my bread and butter has always been the phone. So I can tell you in January 2018, my team, we listed 22 properties as a result of a campaign that we had ran for our September, October, November into December. We ran a campaign around a certain area it included, calling, sending postcards, some door knocking, emailing, and then running Facebook ads, all to a database of about 1,500 people. And I'll tell you, in January, a lot of those people listened, and we said, well, geez, why did you choose us? They're like, because we should see you guys everywhere. You know what I mean? So I think definitely it's more than just picking up the phones these days. But don't discount what you can do by picking up the phone, because the majority, I'm not saying this to you, I'm saying this to your listeners, the majority of the people, they're not doing it, believe it or not. So you may stand out just from calling somebody, that and nobody else is calling, and everybody else, a lot of people now are, just kind of defaulting to sending a text or sending an email or maybe sending a Facebook message. All good things. But I think right now, Mike, the goal is a combination of all of it is what's the most effective.
The outbound omni-channel outreach mechanisms. Yeah, okay, definitely. I totally agree, and I think there's nothing more personal and more which can be more leveraged than a call. Obviously, maybe a Skype meeting or a video conference.
Sure, yeah.
But still, you still have to make sure, like, okay, what is accessible and what has the least friction, and where can you go and qualify the lead even a little bit more.
Sure, yeah. A Zoom meeting is always good too if you have to go that direction. I mean, I typically would like to meet people in person, but sometimes if they're in another state or something, you can't do that. So I'll tell you, there's an episode, if I can promote my podcast.
Absolutely.
It's called Path to Mastery, and I had Gary Vaynerchuk on my show, and a lot of people ask me, well, how did you get Gary on your show? And what I would tell you, and it's based on what we just talked about. It's the exact same thing I did to build my real estate business. But if people want to listen to episode number 121, it's somebody else interviewed me on how I got Gary V on my podcast. And then it'll actually, you can hear the interview with Gary and I. It's only about 15 minutes. The whole show's about 30 minutes.
Awesome.
It's awesome.
Appreciate it.
If people are interested, please check that out. And then that'll give you an idea to say, okay, how can I take the same strategy that David used to get Gary Vaynerchuk on his show, and how do I implement that in my real estate business or whatever business you have? I mean, it's the same thing.
That's great. I mean, I've been listening to Gary Vaynerchuk and watching him for now, I think like 4 years, and it's great that you mention him. And it's in fact like I'm trying to obviously to apply a lot of his methodologies and his wisdom, doing outreach. Right now I'm based in Zurich in Switzerland, and I'm doing the outreach to you in Massachusetts.
Appreciate that.
One more question concerning counter arguments. Okay, you have the person on the phone. You say, let's talk. Let's have a talk. Let's talk about the opportunity and stuff. If they say, you know what, like, it's just not my business. I'm just not interested. What are your 3 tips? And also considering your time limit. I know you're super limited in your time. Your 3 to 5 strategies or tactics to say, I still get him hooked up. I still have him maybe buying in.
Sure. Listen, the reality here is if when I'm calling people, I can't take things personal. Again, because of the amount of time I've been maybe on the phones, I've maybe built a hard shell to it to an extent, although sometimes people still get under my skin. But the first step is just don't take things personal, because the people on the other end, they don't even know who you are. Mm-hmm. You're just somebody cold calling them. They weren't even expecting it. As a matter of fact, usually when you cold call someone, you're interrupting them, right? Mm-hmm. However, the other side of that is I'm offering something that's going to help them. Mm-hmm. So that's critical. So you really have to understand that I am coming from a place of contribution. So think about an expired seller. Mm-hmm. They had their home on the market for 6 months. They put their house on the market. They were excited. They had a goal, and they're probably opening their house every weekend for open houses. They've got strangers walking through the house. They're getting showings. They're not getting offers. They're frustrated. It's frustrating, right? Mm-hmm. So finally they just say, you know what, forget this. I'm taking my house off the market. And then all of a sudden they take the house off the market, and all these real estate agents are calling now mm-hmm. and saying, hey, I can sell your house and this and that, right? So imagine their perspective. And that's what I'm talking about. This is like, so empathy now, like, listen, I get it's frustrating. I get your house didn't sell. I've done this for a lot of people. There's different strategies we use. I'm just saying, if you're open, great. We can meet. I'll come by. I'll give you some advice. If you're not, that's fine too. You know what I mean? It's a matter of, I just want to help. Mm-hmm. I want to help people. And if I can't help that person, and if that person treats me like a jerk, then that's their problem, Mike. Mm-hmm. It's not my problem. Right? I mean, they're the ones with the issue, not me. I'm only calling with a solution. Absolutely. And I think if people can figure that out, and this is what I work with people on when it comes to like call reluctance. Mm-hmm. I'm calling with a solution. And then the third step is literally, there's only really 5 different objections. Anybody you call, I don't care if you're calling people for carpet cleaning service, I'm sure there's only maybe 5 to 7 objections they could give you. Yeah. So as long as you know the 5 objections, 5 to 7, then it doesn't matter what they say. With an expired, they're going to say, I'm not interested. They're going to say, I'm going to relist with my same agent, or they're going to say, I'm giving up. I'm taking a house off the market, or they're going to say, I'm going to sell it myself. Right? Or they're going to say, you're the 10th agent that called me. So I no matter what they say, I've already,
you've gone through it,
gone through that objection, and I have a handler, and and again, it's a matter of, okay, listen, I'm just trying to help. That's it. Yeah. So does that help?
That helps absolutely. I know you need to kick off to the next meeting. How can people contact you? Can you repeat that to audience again, so that we make sure that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. And if people are interested, I have a program for expireds and for sale by owners. It's just go to schoolforrealtors.com. schoolforrealtors.com. You can get information on that. And if you want to reach out to me directly, my email is david@davidihill.com, david@davidihill.com. If you email me, I'll add you to my list, and you'll know about when we're doing events and webinars and things. And listen, if you, everybody knows if you email somebody and you don't want to get emails from them, then just unsubscribe, right? I use MailChimp, so if you don't like what I'm sending you, unsubscribe. But if you like this interview and you think I can bring some value to you in your business, send me an email. I'll add you to my list. You'll know what's going on. And yeah, and my website's davidihill.com. davidihill.com.
Perfect. David, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your spontaneous appointment, and I wish you very well, and hope to talk to you very soon. And yeah, all the best with also the commercial real estate now. And
thank you.
Really appreciated your time, and thanks a lot for your insights concerning the sales approach. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for doing this, man. You're definitely doing big things out there, so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.